33, I always wanted to do the perfect London anthology. And my point of view for that would be to feature the whole of London. So we've got 33 stories between two books. It's been quite a project, and I'm very glad that it's come in, and it came in the right way around, which was always a worry. Iman, Sarg, laundry and ironing. I have a feeling she's trying to Benjamin Button me. It wouldn't be long before I'd be in swaddling, then passing back through the maternal canal. Best place to be. Father hasn't been quite so magnanimous. He stopped saying it. Instead, he's formed an expression, a new facial expression that says, "Get a job, you bevkoof." He hasn't even mentioned getting me a job at the factory. That's how disappointed he is. And that's just the start. Every second Tuesday, I would go to the Job Centre Plus on Maze Road and sign on. No university course prepares you for that feeling. I'd sugar the pill by popping into the Hollywood after my visit, a matinee screening. Occasionally, I'd get lucky and be the only one in the auditorium. Just me, the silver screen, and my dreams. Nothing could touch me in those moments. It was during Star Trek, the new one with all the youngsters, when all this changed, when Sae Nakamura walked into the Hollywood. I remember clearly. She entered the auditorium a moment before the lights dimmed, surveyed the room, then walked up the sticky stairs with a quiet dignity and poise. She was tall, wearing a navy blue coat that reminded me of a painter's smock, black hair tied back. For all the choice available, she sat at the end of my row, giving me the faintest of nods as she sat down. Manny popped into my head, my friend of many years, a believer in NLP and the rules of the game. When a woman looks at you, you have a window of opportunity of no more than 3 seconds. After 3 seconds, you may as well not exist. Oh, Manny. I waited 127 minutes, spent most of the film mulling it over. The legitimacy of such a move, the whys and wherefores of picking a cinema seat, suitable lines of introduction. I got so wound up, I missed the end of the film. Saye glanced at me as she gathered her things to go. What a gift. 3 more seconds. What did you think?
Bent straight, men and women, crippled by the disease of frustration. The advisors couldn't inspire them with boasts of the area's work ethic in the last century, with furniture making and timber transportation by barge along the River Lee navigation. They didn't know, budget. There were no jobs now, innit? Security at the job centre knew Indy for trying to save the startled plump Asian advisor from a clawing client. They bollocked him for it. Indy was shocked. He went home with a thumping headache and bruised arms that ached for days, determined that if that shit ever happened again, he would knock them out. Each time Indy left the job centre, he wondered, where was his chi? Was his God sleeping? He began to bind, cast, and laminate all enemies of progress, calling on God to give him a J-O damn B with prospects. The answers were always the same. Overdose on McDonald's or KFC, which were next door. These outlets, mobile phone kiosks, and bric-a-brac shops vied for attention on the long, bedraggled grey street, punctuated with the occasional green tree and sparkling hubs of Turkish, Asian, and African enterprise. Indy Senior, a short and stocky minicab driver, was unsympathetic. You see what happens when you don't want to read? Whether awake or asleep, wherever he tossed and turned, his father's voice pricked him all over like feasting chin-chick. And the memories were so hard to drown, they kept flashing to the surface. His screaming disappointment when Indy dropped out of college, "'Cause it's hard, innit?" Pulling on his ear, Indy Senior bellowed, "Gente! What hard are you talking? Did you carry water from the stream? Read by candle when NEPA took lights? Look for food during Biafra? That spirit of stubborn..."
Latest walk would start on Cable Street. He would explore the Ratcliffe Highway, where sailors from all over the world could once buy wild beasts of all descriptions, from lions and hyenas to parakeets. Moving on to the boundary stone, marking the borough of Ratcliffe, or Sailor Town, notorious for its taverns, drug dens, brothels, and general debauchery for hundreds of years. He would show them Stepney Causeway, where Dr. Bernardo asked that one of the doors be kept permanently open after one child came looking for shelter, was turned away and died 2 days later of starvation on the streets. He thought how a historical distance could make a world where anything or anyone could be bought and sold, and life itself was cheap, seem exotic and fascinating, while in fact the reality must have been, and was still, terrifying. The rector approached him as he was rearranging his notes. "I've something interesting for you, Andrew," he said cheerily. "An infestation, you might say." "An infestation?" Andrew, a serious man, had never understood the rector's donnish mixture of learning and levity. "A supernatural infestation. A young lady who lives in one of the old houses over there." He gestured towards the row of early Victorian terraces opposite the graveyard. "She has what appears to be a jinn problem. They're more common than you might imagine." "A jinn?" "It's the same as the word for genie, but it's not really a case of Scheherazade, Aladdin, rubbing the lamp in 3 wishes. No, this is something more complicated, like a spirit that can do good or evil. She believes it could be a Christian jinn or ghost or whatever you want to call it. You can come with me when we go to see her." "Isn't this more likely to be a case of something psychological?" The rector sighed. "Of course, that's something to consider. But in this case, if it will ease the anxiety of someone in our parish, it is seen as worthwhile to say a few prayers of protection or peace. Bless the house, that kind of thing. Deliverance, we call it."
On the other side, so she put her head down and swung her cane wider than usual, hoping it would register in what she knew was the very narrow field of teenage vision. As she approached the school gates, she heard shouts of welcome, peppered with acronyms and abbreviations. "OMG, you didn't? Yeah, TMI, laters. Felix is over, by the way." Everything they said ended on a rising note, as if they were not stating but venturing. This change of cadence had only just started by the time she had finished teaching, but now every young voice she heard on her daily outings round the green uttered sentences that ended not with a full stop, but with a question mark. They sounded more than ever like baby birds clamouring to be fed. There was a tap on her shoulder. "Miss Frobisher?" This voice was loud, clear and adult. "It's Sophie Laxton, Ward Bishop as was. I was in your history set. I'm here with my daughter Ruby. She's in the 4th form now. GCSE's next year. Unbelievable how quickly they grow up. Say hello, Ruby." "Hello." A small, sullen voice, quite unlike that of the mother. Miss Frobisher wondered why this woman was talking to her so loudly. Did she assume because she was blind she must also be deaf? She turned her head towards the voice and said quietly, "I'm sorry, I don't remember your name, but I usually remember faces. Why don't you describe yourself to me?" She had used this ploy before when accosted by former pupils. The girl, now woman, would always hesitate, unsure whether to describe herself in her current matronly incarnation or as the girl that had once gazed slacked mouth at her as she explained the niceties of Stuart finance.